Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. And I hope you are all well, and thank you for joining us today. For those who don't know us already, my name is Cátia Pereira Baptista, and I'm the head of the Immigration Department here at Caiado, Guerreiro, which is an international full-service law firm with over 40 years of experience. Over the years, we had had the privilege of assisting countless clients across the world and across with a wide range of legal areas. Especially within the Immigration Department, we have proudly supported more than 4,000 families in successfully obtaining their visas. With me, I have my colleague, Lauro Cockell Drummond, also a lawyer in the Immigration Department at Caiado, Guerreiro. Together, we'll do our best to shed light on the current developments in Portugal and the upcoming changes. As we've been receiving lots of information and lots of requests from several of our clients that are concerned about what is happening and want to learn what are these upcoming changes, we thought that we could do this session, which is easier for us and for you to listen, to place your questions and see what we can help along the way. So the first thing I need to say is, well, we don't have yet a lot of information about the outcome of the proposal that has been running around of the Portuguese Nationality Law. However, as this matter has now been postponed to September, so until September there's no change, there's no guarantee of what is happening. We thought that we were waiting until we have something more concrete to share, but since this was postponed to September, we thought it would be best to entitle some clarity other than leave you on the limbo over the summer without any answers. So we understand that many of you are concerned, especially about the potential extension of the nationality from 5 to 10 years, as this will be, of course, a significant impact in some of the residencies and the citizenship path. But as you will learn today, this is not a revolutionary change. It's just more adjustment to the European law that is already in place. We still believe that the Portuguese program remains one of the most secure and credible options for the investment in Europe. And while we all prefer the 5 years over the 10 years, the combination of legal residency, flexibility, and the state requirements and the route to the EU citizenship remain still a significant as it always has been. So I'll start at the beginning for those of you that are just starting the Golden Visa program or are only considering it. So what is the Golden Visa? What does it offer, and how can you apply for citizenship if that's the case, and what changes will we expect? So the authorization of residency for investment, which is commonly known as the Portuguese Golden Visa, is a residency by investment program for non-EU citizens. It grants the legal residency rights to live in Portugal through an eligible investment such as regulated investment funds, cultural donation, or job creation. The key benefits includes a visa-free access to the Schengen area, family reunification, the possibility of permanent residency after the 5 years, and all of these with the minimum stay requirements. So in sum, the Golden Visa gives you a temporary residency permit, renewable every 2 years, with a minimum stay requirement, just 7 days a year in Portugal, gives you the possibility of family reunification of spouse, parents and children under specific rules. And after the 5 years of legal residency, the option to apply for permanent residency, or as the law is today, for citizenship. So one common misconception is that the Golden Visa guarantees citizenship, and it doesn't. What it provides, it's a residency permit with minimal physical presence required, and that opens the path to either permanent residency or naturalization after the 5 years. So lots of you are thinking, okay, I know already what the Golden Visa is, so thank you very much. But what about the citizenship? Is it no longer an option after the 5 years? What happens? I will lose my investment, I will lose my visa. What is going on? So what has been the most concerning to our clients is the fear that with the upcoming changes to the law, it will no longer be possible to apply for the Portuguese nationality after the 5 years. And since the Golden Visa, it's always advertised as a 5-year program, okay, ends the 5 years, I don't have citizenship, I lose the visa. No, nothing of a sort. The thing is, the advertisements that sometimes are made, they frequently are saying that after maintaining the investment for 5 years, one automatically gains the nationality or the right to the nationality. And in reality, what this means is you have the right to reside, to live, to study in Portugal, and you have access to the Schengen area. So you don't have an automatic path to the citizenship. And what the Golden Visa say, I have lots of clients saying, okay, but I now do the 5 years, and if I cannot have the citizenship in the 5 years, what then? What good is the visa? Well, the visa gives you, like I said, the residency permits. The perk of the Golden Visa is that to achieve that residency or citizenship, you only need the minimum requirement of physical stay in the country of the 7 days. This is not about to change. The only change that we are facing for Golden Visa holders is that we don't know yet if it's going to be 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, but the possibility of increasing the time that you will need to not to live, but to reside legally in Portugal in order to become a citizen. And when I say reside, it's not living physically here. It's having a residency permit, and with the Golden Visa, that residency permit is only 7 days, 7 days a year. So this is in more or less the timelines that we have and the guidance that we have, that nothing is changing for the Golden Visa. Only in the long run, the time that you will need to hold that visa or the residence in order to may apply for the citizenship. Maybe my colleague can sum this up with other words, and I hope that I've made myself clear. He'll tell the summarized version.
Thanks, Cátia. Thank you all for joining us. Cátia already introduced me, but it's nice to meet you or revisiting with all of you. But following up what Cátia has been explaining, and well done, summarily what happens is, for the Golden Visa applicants, after 5 years, how will it work? Let me better organize this idea and better describe how it would be after these 5 years. Basically, you have 3 options, okay? Keep renewing the gold card, It's the first one. The second one, apply for the permanent residence. The third one, apply for nationality. Let's better describe each and understand better each of these options, okay? So for the first one, once you reach the 5th year of the application, you have the right to apply for the permanent residency, and as it is currently for the nationality. The only thing that it's on debate, legislatively speaking, is that it will be possible to postpone the application for the nationality. Let's make very clear that the permanent residency is not on the table on discussion regarding this change, okay? So first option, you can keep renewing your residence card as it is without even applying for the permanent residence or the nationality yet. It's your option. You have total flexibility from this program in general, okay? So the only thing is that by keeping renewing the Golden Visa card, it requires you to maintain the investment, okay? This means that you can choose to hold the Golden Visa card for the 10 years necessary for the yet to be, if so, citizenship application, as long as you are willing to maintain the investment. For the second option, you can also apply for the permanent residency. The permanent residence in Portugal is a residence status granted to foreign nationals who have legally lived in the country for at least 5 years. So for the Golden Visa, although it's kind of not directly told, it's a temporary card. After these 5 years, you can apply for this permanent one, which will be valid also for a longer time, for 5 years. Basically, it allows you to live and work in Portugal indefinitely with the residence card renewable every 5 years. And for the Golden Visa applicants, it does not require the full-time residence in the country because of specific perk of Golden Visa applications later applied to the specifics of the permanent residence in this context. So this option is often preferred by the individuals who either do not wish to acquire Portuguese citizenship or are not eligible due to restrictions in their home country. So basically, we revisit the first and the second option, and the third one will be apply for the nationality, the citizenship properly. As the law currently stands, after 5 years, the applicant may proceed directly to the nationality process. To do so, they must complete a course or pass a Portuguese language test at A2 level, among other requirements. For the Portuguese language, A1 is the most basic, A2 is the next one. So form basic sentence and so, okay? So at this stage, we think it's important that you understand the key difference of the options you have available, and mostly between the permanent residence versus the citizenship. What's the difference? How it works? Because as we mentioned, you have total flexibility to apply whether for one or another, as long as complying with its own requirements, okay? We often get questions about the distinctions between these both, so let's break it down. We have this chart in here better describing, so please allow me to visit each part for you to better understand. So we have in the first line the feature about specificness, the second one so telling about the permanent residence, and the third one the citizenship. So basically comparing one to another. Regarding the validity, the permanent residence, it's 5 years renewable, whereas citizenships, it's for lifetime. You are national, basically, as soon as you obtain it. For the passport, with the permanent residence, you will be granted a residence permit card that is permanent. It's not properly a passport, which is different than the citizenship, that is the Portuguese European passport. Regarding the voting rights, while for the permanent residence, you don't have voting rights, for the citizenship, yes, as you will be full citizenship properly. Regarding EU mobility, for the permanent residence, and that's important, you have the residence in Portugal only, plus, of course, you can travel freely within Schengen area without a visa up to 9 days within a timeline of 180-day period, okay? While for the citizenship, you have full European rights, okay? Regarding tax residency, it is not automatically, either for the permanent residency or the citizenship itself. Tax residency has its own specifics that it's not automatically. That's a common question for our clients. And finally, the integration requirements. For the permanent residence, it is needed the A2 Portuguese language proficiency that I mentioned, plus proof of ties, simplified. Whereas for the citizenship, it is also required, besides of the A2 Portuguese and ties, the background check. So, in overview, while the permanent residence give you a stable, long-term legal status in Portugal, it does not give you full EU rights, though, but may carry implications depending on your country of origin stance on dual nationality. There are some nationalities that doesn't allow this. For example, the Chinese one or so. For the Portuguese point of view, it's all good with that. It's only a matter of analyzing the both sides. So what are the proposed change to the nationality law? To better understand of this whirlwind of media news, what is currently being proposed in concrete? Firstly, a change in the nationality law to increase the minimum residence period to apply for it from 5 to 10 years. We have an exception, though, which is 7 years for CPLP, which is the Community of Portuguese Language Countries. This proposal is now with the Parliament Committee for review, and it has not been approved yet because of this procedure ongoing. It has not been approved, and it's only expected to be in September. And we expect discussions and potential amendments to continue after the summer recess. Other changes are not being approved, but none of them, they will affect golden visa holders. That's a main key aspect to be highlighted here. And there are only other visa types. So if you complete your 5-year residence period before any changes are passed and come into effect, you should still qualify under the existing rules. We do expect transitional provisions to protect those already in the system, although this has not been proposed yet. As you see, the only real change in the nationality law that will basically be regarding this increase of the time for the residency needed to obtain your Portuguese passport. But the rest of the program remain as solid and popular as it's always been. It's only this minor adjustment regarding these specificities and its minor features regarding each characteristic of each of this zone, okay? And we have some recommendations based on that will pass to my colleague Cátia again to better explain.
Thank you, Lauro. I just wanted to add one information to the difference between permanent residency and citizenship. That is when we say that the passport gives you full European Union rights, we are stating that with Portuguese passport, for example, you will be a European citizen, and such you can work, for example, or study in other European countries and register as a EU citizen. But you cannot travel freely, okay? So the main difference is if you want to work in Portugal and in Spain, for example, you can register as a citizen of the European Union, but for tourism and the normal travel, the 90 days still apply, okay? This is a common misconception that sometimes we hear our clients say, no, we don't want permanent residency because with the passport we can travel freely. That's not true. With the passport, you can, if you live there, have an address, have a job, or want to relocate. Yes, of course, it's way easier. You just need to register. You don't need to apply for a visa. But all the other types of traveling require only the 90 days. So there's no difference between this and the permanent residency. So with this said, it's very early for us to be doing recommendations, because I think this will have lots and lots to say from us lawyers and from all the colleagues. So you know, we are all together from every office that exists, and it's working with the clients. We are doing our best to together try and change or at least mitigate these changes. But of course, if everything goes as is proposed, we can only recommend that if you are close to the 5-year mark and considering initiating the nationality process, please don't postpone it and do it now, because we don't know what will happen and when, okay? If you are planning family reunification, it is also wise to proceed. Although the family reunification restrictions that are being talked about and already pre-approved do not apply to golden visa holders, it's best for you to apply as soon as possible, because the sooner you start the application, the sooner the clock starts ticking. So it's not imperative, but if you have family to regroup, do it. And of course, stay close in contact with all your legal advisors. We are doing our best to have everybody as informed as possible. We are sending emails. Sometimes I get lots of emails that come back because I sent to a very big mailing list, and you all have firewalls, and sometimes the emails do not get through. But I sent to all the clients. But if you don't receive, feel free to ask away. Before September, we probably will not have anything to add. But if we do, we will let you know, and we will continue to do these sessions to try and enlighten as much as possible all our clients. So before we move to your specific questions, and since we for the last weeks we've been receiving so much questions about what is happening, we prepared a pre-selections of frequently asked questions that my colleague will answer, hoping that you can have some clarity on what is happening. And moving forward, I will look into your specific questions. So please write them so I can do, me and my colleague, our best to answer to everybody's questions.
Thanks again, Cátia. So we have compiled, as Cátia mentioned, a few frequent questions that may be yours. So please allow me to revisit some of them. So question 1, do I need to live full-time in Portugal to apply for permanent residence or citizenship after 5 years? It's a big no. Under the current rules, you can apply for either permanent residence or the citizenship after the 5 years of legal residence with the golden visa, and the stay requirement remain minimal, just 7 days per year. That means no full-time residence is required. The permanent residence card is valid for 5 years and renewable. The main limitations compared to citizenship are that, as mentioned before, the permanent residence does not grant full European mobility or voting rights. Question 2, does permanent residence make me a tax resident in Portugal? So better go into this matter. No. Holding the permanent residence does not automatically trigger tax residency. You only become a tax resident in Portugal if you spend more than 183 days per year in Portugal or meet other specific conditions under Portuguese tax law. Question 3. Under the new law, would I need to live continuously in Portugal for 10 years to get the citizenship? No. You need to keep your legal residence. In the golden visa holder's case, the residence requirements will remain the 7 days a year. So that's all you need to comply in this context. Question 4. How may these proposed legislative changes may affect the golden visa program? That's maybe the most popular one. The Portuguese golden visa remains solid, as mentioned, and with any proposal that will affect its structure, investment requirements, or flexibility. There's any of these proposals that changes or attempt to hold the integrity itself of the program. You remain solid and popular, as mentioned before. It's only an adjustment in the long term for applying for the citizenship and so, okay? So any risks regarding that? Question 5. What risks would I be assuming if I decide to move forward? The level of risks will always naturally depend on the type of investment. We have several options and we guide you through them all. But assuming a safe investment where even if everything were to go wrong with the visa or nationality process, there will be no financial loss, then the risk would be purely related to expectations, as there would be no real risk involved regarding that. You know, so it's more a management of the expectations that we are talking about for you to better understand and avoid any misconceptions and this whirlwind of media news that may confusing sometimes and give some uncertainty that are specific what we are doing our best to transparently give and assess you through it. Okay. Now we will open the floor for questions sessions as you all may have. If you have any, please let us know on the chat.
So we'll do our best to answer to all your questions. I see we have here a couple of them. I'll start by the first. Is the change intended to be applied to new golden visa application, or it would be applying to existent? The thing I've been trying to pass is, one thing is the visa, okay? The other thing, completely different, is the residency that the visa opens the path to. So if you already submitted your golden visa application and something changes in the golden visa law, you will be protected, okay? So none of these changes will apply to you. But the thing is that the change that is being proposed is in the nationality law. So only those who already started the nationality process will not be entitled to the new law, okay? So these are two very different things. If you already started the nationality application, the law will not apply to you. If not, if you are still a visa holder, nothing to do with the nationality application. So when the time comes, you will need to see how the law is at the time and submit the application with those existing at the time requirements. Are you just about to apply for citizenship in the coming days? If the law passes at the end of September, will it be applied backwards? Or having submitted our application now, will it be absent? So this is the big discussion. What the government initially proposed was that the law was passed, and with retroactive effects 2 or 3 days before they announced the change. Of course, everybody was outraged, and as soon as they made this proposal, we had lots of lawyers, ministers, professors imposing and saying this is unconstitutional. You cannot do this. So this is why only in September we will have any type of decision, because they are studying if the proposals that they are trying to pass are or not constitutional. So the answer is, if you submit it before the law is passed, you should be fine, because I personally, but again, personally don't believe that the law will have retroactive effects, okay? Because if this were to be the case, what we are prepared to do is, of course, to go against the state, and as we've been doing with IMA, with the intimation lawsuits, we will do it and defend our clients, okay? Because this is not acceptable. But if they decide that the law is retroactive, we will need to fight that retroactivity. But I don't believe this will be necessary, and if you submit it until September, until the law is passed, you should be fine. So that's what I said. If you are thinking or already doing the test or studying for it, do it now, okay? Next, what documents determines the starting point of the 5 years? So we normally request a document which is called a time-lapse certificate, which we request to IMA, okay? So as is, we submit the application after 5 years of you submitting your golden visa process, not the 5 years of the card, 5 years starting the moment you're submitting the process. We, after, request that certification that gives you the time count, the time period that they count. What is happening is, as everything, these declarations are taking a lot of time. So we submit, because it's not mandatory for us to submit with that declaration. So we are submitting the process without the declaration, and when the declaration comes, we submit it to the registry. But this is the document that is requested at IMA that gives us the time that we need to count for the citizenship. Is the process of issuing residency cards in alphabetic order? No. The cards, what happened was, not only with the cards, but with all the pending processes. We had Lisbon, Coimbra, Porto, Faro working on the investors' applications, okay? Mainly Lisbon, Porto were doing these types of applications. If we add this to all the other pending processes, nothing was moving. So what they did was they distribute the processes for several cabinets of on the country, and now they are doing, they don't have an order. What they did was they grabbed the ones that were waiting longer, and they are starting by the ones that are most old, the older applications. Of course, you have cabinets that are faster than the others. So sometimes you say, oh, my friend applied after me and he already has the card, or paid after me and he already has the card. Well, he had the luck to go to a cabinet that, to the office that is more efficient than the other. So there's no criteria on the order. Hello. clear so far, but does the 5 years requirement for the permanent residency start to count from the beginning of the application of the temporary? No. This, even in the law as is, the permanent residency only starts counting when you receive your first card, okay? What we can do and what we've been doing is for the permanent residency, we submit the process when you are close to the 5 years, and since they take a lot of time to look at the applications, when they will look at the applications, you will have the complete the 5 times of the 5 years. Of course, we should not be doing this because we should only be submitting after the 5 years are completed, but we have to take advantage of them being taking so long. But by law, for the permanent residency and now for the citizenship, because they will withdraw that exception, the time will start counting when you receive your first cards. Now I'll take a breather and pass the questions to my colleague.
Thank you. So moving forward, hello, Cátia. Can you explain what you mean by ties? Also, does the 7-day stay per annum in Portugal only apply during the first 5 years of the process? No. The ties depend on each process, and it can be proved by several ways, including your proficiency language test or even classes. Besides of, in some cases, proof of address, proof of enrollment in a Portuguese school, or any type of class. Is not a script thing. It's more like a wider option, but the best option usually to prove the ties regarding the language specifically, it's the language test proficiency, okay, certified by CIPO, which is the accredited institution to do that. But regarding the second part of the question, for the 7 days requirement, it is relatively to the period of validity of your residence card. So once issued, you will have 2 years of validity. This 7 days per year, meaning 14 per the duration of the document itself. So per 2 years should be fulfilled and complied within this period, okay? And it does not apply only before or after. It's regarding each successive renewal that needs to be complied. So regardless of being the first or the second or the next ones, okay? So for Jason, after 5 years, if you choose to apply for permanent residence once issued, does that require more than the 7 days of residence per year to maintain the permanent residence? No. As we were discussing, it applies the same. It's still 7 days per year because it is a specific law regime for the permanent residence for golden visa applicants, okay? So it applies the same rule of the 7 days per year, regardless being the temporary golden visa 1 or the permanent residence, okay? Or on the basis of date of submission of application, I believe what you were talking about was regarding a previous question. So I believe it's already answered by Cátia. So for Sumita, for the permanent residence, do you need to keep your golden visa investment? Your permanent residence? No. What happens is for the golden visa temporary residence permit, you need to keep renewal. So if you choose to go for the permanent residence, you can withdraw your investment, okay? It's only required while you are maintaining your residence permit with grounds, so based on your golden visa card, okay? So if you go for the permanent resident, it's no longer required the investment. What are proof of ties? We already discussed about it. Zubai, is there any renewal requirement to stay in the country for a period after receiving the permanent residence? So exactly the question above mentioned. And the ties with Steven's question. How do you prove proof of language? Exactly as mentioned before as well, with the text. You can prove for two ways, as first mentioned, but better describing. You can go for a Portuguese exam class, learn from yourself and so, but it is proving the knowledge of the Portuguese A2 level as the requirement for both, whether attending to Portuguese classes, which needs to be specific and accredited ones, or passing through the exam properly by the CAPL. We always recommend going for the exam rather than the classes, because it's widely more accepted without any questions about it. Even though it is by law also allowed, it needs to be well analyzed if complies or not, depending on each case, depending on mostly each institution. Okay, Thomas, if you have permanent residence following to a GV investment and the 10-year proposal passes, would merely having permanent residence counted toward the 10 years, even you live elsewhere? Let me just see if I understand correctly. If you have permanent residence following a golden visa investment and the 10-year pass, would merely having permanent count towards the 10 years, even if you live elsewhere? So regarding the minimum timelines, as we were discussing, it applies the same for the golden visa or the permanent residence. I'm not sure if it is specific that. If not, please let me know. But it applies regardless of in which context we are talking about. Okay, so the only adjustment that are in discussion for the 10 years is for the nationality also, and not for the permanent residence. Okay. How do we determine how close we are to the 5-year mark? We can check if by already being our clients, the timelines or for the issuance of your residence cards, and besides from that, for having a formal document issued by the government, as Cátia was explaining, we can formalize this by obtaining that with IMA, with the counted timeline issued by them. John Levi, what is close to the 5-year requirement for nationality? Precisely, if you are close to or already have fulfill the necessary compliance to apply for the nationality, is that we were recommending to go through because the law is changing nowadays very much. So we always recommend to move forward once you reach your right and go applying for that. But regarding how we work this close, Cátia was mentioned, is regarding the countage for the minimum timeline of legal residency requirement to that. So it's a matter, as we were discussing on the below questions, counting from the time of the issuance of the cards for the nationality and or obtaining that formally with the document from IMA. Vikas, what is the maximum time duration in which IMA issue residence card? I'm always for almost 1 year, did get my residence cards. Yeah, so we, the law timeline for to be complied with the government institutional by law are up to 90 business days in general matters. However, what we have seen, of course, it's some delay from IMA because of this high demands on this context in immigration status that leads to this delay. So it's a matter of better look into the case. And if you are in this case, please let us know so we can follow up. I believe we already are discussed it about, but by mind, I will not recall if in your specific matter, but it's a matter of see and follow up on your case, what can be done. But in general, it is taking much longer time than this basic deadline. But we have also been exploring some different strategies, whether by following up to formal noticing IMA requesting for moving forward with the process regardless of the delay, and also for more urgent matters, also moving forward with the lawsuit for the ação de intimation, supoma action specifically. So, Neville, I'm still in such a terrible mess with no appointments unless you sue them. It depends on each case. It was like I was mentioned. In fact, there are being quite non-responsive in some cases, and it requires the mostly important job to keep following up on our process, and you will be glad and here to assist you, okay? It's a matter of analyzing, see on your specific case to see what is the best course of action, and if you need some assistance in this way, please let us know, we'll be delighted to, okay? In some cases, the best course of action is to proceed with the lawsuit, if that's an option for you. In other ones, it's go for different strategies, as I first mentioned, okay? What are the next steps after the IMA appointment? It depends on each case appointment, but in general, for the golden visa application, for the concession, it's a matter of you attend to the appointment, we submit all related documentation, and at that, you'll be collecting your biometric data, and they will analyze your process and give a response to that. So basically, it's the final step in this regard of waiting for them to approve, or if necessary, further additional documents, which is not usual with further sync, but in some cases are needed by IMA. But in general, you go forward with this end phase process, waiting for their approval. I'll pass for Cátia to speak.
Yes, take a breather. So I think this one, the next, can you tell me an example of proof of ties? Is buying another property in Portugal can be considered proof of ties? So I know we already addressed the proof of ties, but the proof of ties that we have for the residents at this moment is only the A2 level test. Okay, you don't need to prove any further ties to the community. However, in some situations, they can request further proof of ties. Of course, if you have in Portugal real estate, if you are living or intending living here, if you have children studying in Portugal, we are directing this session to golden visas, but maybe some of you are not golden visas and have other visas, so you will need the proof of ties. And the proof of ties is you having some kind of connection with the country. What they are talking about that wasn't already approved, and we don't know what they will request further for proof of ties, but again, this is directed for other types of visas, not specifically for golden visa holders, is that they actually are engaged in the community, okay? So if you have, for example, a work visa and are thinking about applying for the Portuguese citizenship, you will need to prove after this law is passed, if it's passed, you will need to prove that you are engaged in the community, that you work, that you have your life here, and not just going for the citizenship, for the passport. Again, this is more directed to other visa types. What the recursor folks that have just filed GV application, they filed and invest in Portugal thinking it was 5-year path. Now the investment needs to be maintained for 10 years. So again, the investment does not need to be maintained for the 10 years. The 5 years that were advertised by Golden Visa propaganda said, do an investment 5 years, after 5 years you get citizenship. But it's not like that. You have a residency card that allows you, after the 5 years, if you complied with all the rules, to request the citizenship. If after the 5 years, now it's not 5 years, it's going to be 10 years if this is approved. But you still have another option, like we saw on the beginning of our talk. You can apply for permanent residency. You will not need to keep your investment. You can withdraw the investment because you will no longer need the golden visa. You will be a permanent resident in Portugal. You will have a card that will be valid for 5 years rather than the 2 years that was for the golden visa. And if after the time you want to apply for citizenship, great. If not, you have the permanent residency card that, as we saw, the only difference between permanent residency and the citizenship, it's the right to vote and the right to register as a citizen if you want to live or study in other European countries. So, but let's say, I would be more worried, I'm not disregarding our clients and the ones of you that are just starting. I think the most unfair situations are the ones that are in the 4th or the 5th year period and were thinking in 1 month or 2 months start doing their diligences to come to Portugal and to start applying for the citizenship, and without notice this law changed and they were so close to the 5 years and now they need to wait 5 years more. Like I said, we will analyze every situation, and if we feel that we have any kind of injustice and we need to sue the state, we will do it, okay? So you can count on our support from start to end, and we'll do our best within our means. So the short answer, I'm sorry, is no, you don't need to keep the investment for 10 years. 5 years is sufficient if you apply for permanent residency. There is no result we are getting from suing IMA. There are very specific situations, okay? So we have a very close to under 100% success rate in the lawsuits that we are submitting. They're not lawsuits, they are intimations, because we do analyze them and see from our experience, because we now have done it several times for our experience, if you will be granted or not. So, of course, there are situations, 1 in 100, that are unfortunate and maybe did not get the result as quickly as expected. But the thing is, the same way we started doing these intimations, other lawyers start doing it, and of course they have now thousands of these processes. But I don't think moving forward this will be necessary, because we now start seeing, we are now receiving appointments. We received 2 appointments already this week. We have been talking with other lawyers, they are also receiving appointments. So things are finally starting to move. I know I've been saying this for a year, but now I am actually receiving appointments. What would be the impact of those expected changes on the applicants for passport that were submitting beginning of 2025? If by passport applications you mean applications that were already submitted for the nationality, the law can change. You will be under the law that you were when you submitted the process. If you are talking about you submitted your golden visa process in 2025, of course, within 5 years or 10 years or whatever, when you are ready to submit the citizenship application, you will need to see how the law is and comply with the rules. So. Can you put question 4 on the screen? I will try. My colleague is doing it, hopefully soon. We are ready to apply for citizenship by the end of August. However, we have been informed that our residencies have to be valid. Our expiry in March 2024 and now extended to October 2025. Does it mean that we can safely apply for citizenship in August? Yes, because your residency card is still valid, okay? It's still valid until October. But that was one point that I was going to say at the end of this session, which is we, in our social media already did this announcement. IMA has a new platform that is finally working. They've put it up about a month ago, but only in the last week start working, where we can submit the renewal requests. It doesn't give us any proof, it doesn't give us anything, but we know it's working because we already started receiving the appointments for the applications that we've been submitting on that platform. So instead of sending the email, which we needed to do before, now it's the same thing, but in a specific platform. So if any of you needs to renew the card, let us know. Of course, we are going through our list of clients and submitting all the renovations, but we do have a lot of clients, and it doesn't hurt for you to send an email saying my card is expired, please renew. We will get there, but feel free to do it. So Habib, in your situation, yes, it's valid, no problem for the October 15th, but we are still going through with the renewal in your situation. Lauro? Sorry, just a quick breather. So everyone, we just passed 3 years after applying with no action by the PT government yet. Unfortunately, that is what it is. We have clients that are waiting for 2, 3, 4 years, and what we've been doing in those situations, we highly recommend the court summons, because they can be pending for a lot of reasons. They are pending because the system didn't get to them yet. They are pending because they say they sent a request for something that they never sent, and they need to look at the process. They are pending because the system blocked. They are pending for any kind of reason. So sometimes the only way to unlock a process is by the court summons. 3 years is a normal amount. I know that shouldn't be, but what they are promising for the new applicants is they will do it under the 19 plus 90 days. So maybe we can see some improvement, but unfortunately, that's what we get at the moment. What is the minimum stay requirement under the permanent residency? You don't have a minimum stay requirement, okay? You will need to have an address in Portugal, but you will not need to live here more than the 7 days per year, okay? So you can have any kind of address that gives you a way of contact with the government, but you only need to spend the 7 days a year in Portugal so you can live on the other part of the world. So let's stop changing. I don't know what happened. I think we had some kind of problem, but don't worry. After the session, we'll send the slides, okay? And we make sure that everything is okay.
I also send on the chat.
So it's on the chat, but if you for some reason don't see it, we'll forward after, as we will forward the recording of the session. Do we need to keep the investment once we get the permanent residency? I already went through this one, but no, you don't need to make keep the investment, only if you need to keep renewing the golden visa card. Is there any discussion regarding grandfathering? If we are, again, there's no grandfathering because it's a different law and it's a different process. For you to be grandfathered into a law, you will already need to be in the system, okay? So for all of you that already submitted the nationality application, yes, will be grandfathered. You will not have any kind of issue. But the golden visa, there's nothing to do with the citizenship. What the golden visa does is allow you to have a legal residency, which is one of the requirements for the nationality. So in this regard, I don't see that they will, maybe for the ones that are very close and of course for them not to have all their expectations withdrawn, maybe they will make some kind of transitional period, okay? But I don't think that it will go 2 or 3 years in the golden visa process. Will the investment need to be maintained for 10 years now? No, the investment does not need to be maintained for 10 years. Nothing changed regarding investment. It's the investment needs to be the normal 5 years. The only thing is, if you want to keep renewing it, yes, you need to maintain the investment. If you apply for permanent residency, you can withdraw the investment after the 5 years. You don't need to keep the investment more than the 5 years. Do I need to keep my investment after I get the PR card? Does the same requirement remain 7 days per year? No, you don't need to keep your investment after you receive the permanent residency card. It's over. You don't need the visa anymore. You are a permanent resident, okay? You are a resident of Portugal. You will have a card and you will be a resident of Portugal. You don't need to invest. You can, you are welcome to, of course, but you don't need to invest in the country. And the minimum stay, yes, it's the 7 years. I see we do have a lot of questions. Unfortunately, I will not be able to go through all of them. So what I will do is answer to the questions that we did not have the time to go through in this session. I'll put everything in an email, and we will schedule another session for us to talk a little bit more. But I will answer all those questions, and no later than tomorrow we will send an email with all the information that is missing, with the PowerPoint and the recording of this session. And of course, again, feel free to reach out to us. We are more than welcome. We've been doing solo sessions with clients, but since the questions were so alike, we felt that this was the best way to do it. But in some, and as you can see, the questions are almost always the same. Golden visa, it doesn't need to be for 5 years. It needs to be for as long as you need the visa. After 5 years, you don't need the visa anymore. You can apply for a permanent residency. You don't need to keep your investment. After 10 years, if this is the time that is appointed by the new law, you can then apply to the citizenship. So nothing changes in regards to the amount of time that you need to keep the investment. What changes is the amount of time you need to be a resident in Portugal until you can apply for the citizenship. Again, being a resident in Portugal for golden visa holders means staying in the country 7 days a year. So I think this is the main point that you need to retain. All the other changes that you are going to hear about that were passed are going to be passed in the upcoming days. Don't apply for golden visa holders. The family regroupments that are being taught that you can only regroup family before being 2 years in the country, that will not apply to high qualified workers or golden visa holders. So all those changes, the only one that matters now, it's the citizenship one. It's being analyzed by constitutionalists and to see that it's fair for everybody. If it's not fair, we are here to take action on your behalf. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll do my best to answer all your questions. And you have our emails. Go ahead, you have my WhatsApp as well. I'll do my best to answer to all of you. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.